You ever have that feeling, where you feel like you're a character in a play and you know exactly what you need to do to move the story forward, but for some reason you just can't say your lines? Well, today we're going to dig into a phenomenon that explains that exact feeling. It's called the Shakespeare Complex.
I mean, seriously, why is that? Think about it. You knew you had to have that tough conversation. You played it out in your head 100 times, you knew what to say, but when the moment came, nothing. You just froze. That huge gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it, that's what we're jumping into today.
And this gap has a name. It's called the knowing-doing gap. And it's really the heart of the problem we're going to unpack.
Okay, so let's get right into this. The really frustrating part is that this isn't about not being self-aware. Most of the time we've thought about it, we've analyzed it, we have the insight, we know what needs to change. The real, and I mean real hurdle, is actually taking that next step. It's the action part that trips us up. So if we know what to do, why don't we do it? Well, it usually comes down to some really powerful emotions. We're talking about fear, guilt, and shame. It's that little voice in the back of your head that whispers, yeah, but what if this happens? Or what will they think? It's that quiet, nagging fear of the unknown that just paralyzes you.
And this whole pattern of knowing but not doing, well, it has a name. And honestly, it's a pretty brilliant one. The Shakespeare Complex. Think about Hamlet, right? He finds out in Act 1 that he's supposed to avenge his father's death. He knows what he has to do, but what does he do? He spends the rest of the play just hesitating. The real drama of the story isn't in him figuring out the plan, it's in that agonizing delay. That's where the tension is. That's where the story really lives. So here's the official breakdown. The Shakespeare Complex is when you know exactly what you need to do, but you're completely frozen. And you're not frozen because you're confused, you're frozen by things you haven't really looked at yet. These deep, unexamined fears, or old loyalties, or core beliefs that are running the show from behind the scenes.
And that brings us to a super important distinction here. The person in this situation isn't confused, they're conflicted. See, a confused person just needs more information, but a conflicted person, they have all the info they need. The insight is there. What's missing is the inner freedom to actually act on it. It's like there's a war going on inside, between the part of you that knows what's right and some other deeper part that's pulling you back.
So what does this internal battle actually look like in the real world? Well, it probably looks pretty familiar. It looks like distraction, it looks like saying, oh, it's not that big a deal. It's throwing yourself into your work, staying busy, hoping the problem just magically disappears. Or maybe just going completely silent. And here's the thing. We often mistake this inaction for strength. We call it endurance or stoicism. But what's really happening is a slow, quiet disconnection. You're disconnecting from the people around you and from the life you actually want to be living. That hesitation, over time, it just hardens.
So, what's holding this whole structure in place? To answer that, we need to look underneath the surface, at the hidden scaffolding of our behavior. The things we do, the silence, the busyness, the avoidance, that's almost never the real story. That's just a symptom. To really get why we're hesitating, we have to look at what's going on underneath it all. Think of it like an iceberg. On the very top, the part everyone sees is the behavior, right? The silence or the distraction. But just below the water are the emotions driving it, the fear, the guilt, the shame. And then way down at the bottom is the deep foundation, the core beliefs that hold the whole thing together. These are the rules we learned a long time ago, maybe as kids. Things like showing sadness is weak, or I have to be the one to hold it all together.
And this is so crucial to understand. If any of this is resonating with you, it is not a character flaw. You're not broken. It's simply a failure of awareness. It's about not yet having had the chance to dig up those old beliefs and see how they're still pulling the strings today.
Okay, so if that's the problem, where on earth do we start to find the solution? How do we break the cycle? That's what we're going to look at now. So many of us try to just force ourselves to act differently, just do it. But that's like slapping a new coat of paint on a wall with a cracked foundation. It might look better for a minute, but it's not going to hold. Real, lasting change only starts when you go down to the foundation and start examining the beliefs themselves.
So the way forward isn't about running faster or finding a better distraction. It's actually about having the courage to stop, turn around, and just sit with the discomfort for a minute. Because it's in that quiet, honest look at what we're afraid of that something new actually has a chance to begin.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What's the unexamined belief that's quietly holding you in place? What's the hidden rule that's keeping you from taking that next step?
Because answering that question, well, that might just be the first step to finally rewriting your own script. Thanks for tuning in.